What is happening, world of Facebook? We are back. We are back. We are back. Camp Royals bi-weekly live trick and life tips. And yeah, it should be a good time like always. We've had some really amazing guests up until now. Some professional skateboard athletes, professional scooter athletes. And today we have a really amazing guest for us. Also, when you jump on, make sure you throw your name out there in the comments. Let us know that you're here, and we'd love to say hi back on the live webcast. And throw your comments out there, questions, all that stuff. We'll do at the end, but comments and stuff, go ahead and put those in as we go on. But today we have an amazing guest, a friend of mine and a friend of Royals. He was actually out here this last fall for a conference that we had. Called the Axe Conference, and he is from the state of Washington. He's a professional mountain bike coach, coaches in basically all capacities, all facets, both youth as well as professional enduro racers. And this guy basically will take your riding from a recreational level to really dialing you in on technique, but then also give you tools to be able to progress your own riding when you're on your own. And that's what we're going to do exactly here today. So I would like for all you guys to welcome my friend from the state of Washington, Kevin Foss, professional mountain bike coach. What is happening, Kevin? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing great, man. It looks like a beautiful day out there.
It is. Yeah, it's been nice for quite a while. It's helping for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We finally here in West Virginia got a good patch of weather. I think we had snow on the ground 2 days ago, and then 2 hours later it was 50 degrees and sunny and just a beautiful day, man.
Sweet.
That's how it works, you know? So
Yeah.
cool, man. I'm so excited you got to jump on and join us. I know you're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to teaching mountain biking and even making kind of developing your own strategies for progressing in mountain biking and even in life and stuff, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, hey, tell us about Trail Stoke. Tell us what it's all about.
Yeah. So my background's working with teenagers. I've been doing that for a long time. Grew up riding bikes. Kind of tried every action sport I could. And then I think I was like 17, 18, God kind of got a hold of me, changed my plan and kind of asked if I'd follow his plan. And that looked a lot more like working with youth. And before I knew it, it looked like working with youth in the outdoors. And so I started figuring out how to teach stuff, whatever, but was a youth pastor for about 12 years. And then started mountain biking again and just started feeling like, man, a lot of the cool stuff that's happening, the community that's happening around kids is happening through mountain biking.
Yeah.
I'm having a blast. Conversations are good. Kind of life's happening out there. And so things kind of shifted and changed and just felt led to move that direction more
Cool.
time and started figuring out how to be a mountain bike coach in order to teach adults how to ride with kids so we could take more kids out.
Yep.
And so Trail Stokes just kind of emerged out of that. It's kind of whatever I can to help build community in mountain biking that surrounds teenagers. And a lot of that's been coaching. And yeah, it's been awesome.
So cool, man. Hey, before we get too much further, mom and dad are here. Say hi to mom and dad Foss.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
And then my buddy, actually, this guy, man, we used to ride bicycles and skateboards in our front yards. He lived down the street. My friend David Skeeters from Flagstaff area, he's on here, and he wanted to say hi. And then Jendi, which you met Jendi at the Axe Conference. Yeah. So cool, man. So we're so who's that? Sorry?
Yes, this is my son, Ethan. He'll pop in and out today. We're going to help us hold some things.
What's up, Ethan? How you doing, man? Yeah. Awesome. So, what's this virus thing? Has it done anything to your teaching and stuff recently?
Yeah, I mean, it's so the first thing was we were kind of ramping up like across the state. Like I work with a league that has teams across the state, and we were just getting ready to kind of ramp up for race season, and
Yeah.
the program had been going on, but we kind of had to stop meeting together, and then the races have been canceled, and so like I think in general, like the first thing is there's just a lot of loss, right? Like the things we've been looking forward to all bleak Northwest winter are gone,
Yeah.
or feel that way, and so it's been interesting to kind of come out of that. At the same time, we're super lucky here where I live, where like if I turn the camera around, you can see the trails
Mhm.
from here, and so we can get out and ride a little bit, and that's been good. But yeah, coaching is kind of stopped, but trying to figure out how to use some of the online tools like this, and
Yeah.
make some videos and connect with people and communicate however we can, and
So cool.
kind of trying to figure out what it looks like moving forward and where the season's going from here. So
Yeah, for sure, man.
yep.
Cool. Well, let's jump into it, man. I know you have some really cool tech stuff that you want to teach us, and so I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to jump in and yeah, give us that wealth of
Sounds
knowledge you
good.
got, man.
Sounds good. So this is Riley, and she's gonna hang for this part. So I don't know about everybody else, but here, like, we do have trails, but we're kind of stuck in our yard a lot. And so we are thinking a lot about, man, if you can't get out to where you normally ride or you can't get to where there's a coach, how do you keep improving? And so a while ago, I ran across this thing from Red Bull's High Performance Center. Their director at the time, Dr. Andy Walsh, talked about the human improvement process, and he basically said you need to be motivated, you need to do something a lot, so repetition. You need progression, so it gets harder in little steps and little increments. I'm gonna have you hop down. And then um, you need feedback, like am I doing it or not, am I improving or not, and you need it to be a safe place to fail. If it's not safe to fail, then it's a performance environment where you'd better get it right or you're in trouble. And so we're trying to avoid that. So what we're going to do today is take a couple of games and drills and give them to you and look at how do you do that. Set a goal. So motivation would be, what am I wanting to learn? What am I wanting to get better at? So set the goal. We'll look at what you do over and over. We'll look at how you progress, make it harder. We'll look at how you know if you're doing it right, what the feedback is, and we'll make sure we're doing it in a safe spot as well. So the first one up is a game of limbo, and we're gonna have Riley run back over. We're gonna unwind this rope real quick, and they're gonna set up limbo, where I'm gonna ride under the rope. And this is standard game. You've probably played it before, maybe on a bike. The difference is, while they're setting up, here the goal isn't just to get as low as you can and go under. The goal really is that you're able to move smoothly through your range of motion all the way down and then all the way back up as tall as you can, staying balanced over your feet or over the bottom bracket, right? The bottom bracket wants to spin and rotate, and we want to stay solid and stable on top of it. So we have to be balanced between our feet. A lot of people, when you move down, you start to move back or side to side and you lose your balance. And so we're going to look at that and talk about the feedback you'll get if you do that. So it looks like the rope's set up. So I'm going to go ahead and ride through and show you limbo. And you're going to watch, like, as I come down, like, do I start getting pushed forward or back a little bit? And that's kind of what the feedback you'll see. So here we go.
All right, so it looks like Kevin going down to the far end, and the object is to get low and get down there, but stay balanced, right?
So that was a quick little demo. And I heard Jared talking, but as I do that, like a couple things you can do with the feedback is when you come down, if you're leaning forward, you're going to feel pressure in your palms. If you're leaning backwards, you're going to feel it in your fingers, like you're holding yourself from falling backwards. So you want to work on smooth movement down, all the way back up. Now, some people ask, like, well, how low can I go? And I'll back up a little bit or bring the bike up. If your stomach is flat on the seat, that's as low as you're going to get. Without moving to the side and counterbalancing the bike like we've seen some crazy photos of. So we're going to look at just getting down as low as you can comfortably. Again, make sure it's not something that you're going to lose your balance and crash into something. Comfortably down and then back up. And I'm getting distracted by the jump rope behind me. So anyway, yeah. So you come through, smooth movement down, back up, stay balanced over the bottom bracket. Um, yeah. Question, Jarrett? Anything on that making sense? I'm used to having feedback from people.
Yeah, no, I think that that's
Yeah.
great. Like, I loved what you said about, how if you feel the pressure on your palms, you're too far forward, and if you feel it on your fingers, you're too far back. That's a super cool indicator of when I'm riding, I can really keep that in my mind. Like, oh, am I actually evenly balanced forward and backwards? And you can use that to tell. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, and for sure, like that comes into play pretty much everywhere you ride, right? Like
Yep.
if you think about the bike and it rotates over the bottom bracket, right? Like so
Yeah.
we're standing here and the bike's spinning, the bike can go over some crazy terrain. And if you stay balanced over that bottom bracket, it just dances around under you,
Yep.
and you're fine, right? But
Yep.
when you get off balance, no matter whether it's limbo or it's a steep chute or coming into a big lip, if you're feeling pressure in your palms or your fingers, you've got a pretty good cue that you're off balance.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is when you get off balance, you're then telling your body to not move. And so it's like if you tell your muscles, hold me from falling over, you're telling it, don't let me move so I don't fall over, right?
Yeah.
So when we get back a little as we come down low, all of a sudden now we can't move. And this is classic, like your legs lock up and you can't bend your legs anymore. And then it's like you got this rigid rod, and as the bike changes angle, it pushes you forward. So this is classic fails for your Friday, right? Like people come into a jump, they try and get low, they actually go back, and then they load up the back tire and it bounces them out the front door.
Pogos them right OTB, right?
Yeah,
Over
every
the
time.
bars.
Yeah. So doing limbo here and working on getting low and coming all the way up. Super controlled movement all the way up, and all the way down. That actually helps you everywhere you're going to ride.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. Even like this next one, like that's the foundation for cornering. And we're going to move into that where we'll have a slalom drill set up. And I've got 4 cones back here in the alley, and I think you can see them all. On this one, it's kind of the same thing, right? We're working on controlling our movement from direction change to direction change, right?
Yep.
If we come in and we kind of like jerk it, you're going to hear a sound, right? The feedback is going to be like Velcro being ripped off or duct tape, a Band-Aid ripped off real fast. It's kind of painful, right? When you do that, you're reducing your traction in that corner. So if we can learn to move where we evenly press all the way through the direction change and then transition to the other direction and evenly press all the way through, we're going to keep more traction and more control as we move from direction to direction. So with
So
the slalom drill, the kind of couple things we're working on is one, direction changes by turning your whole body, right? It's one movement. I'll back up and like, if you think about when we turn when we're walking, we plant a foot and then turn our whole body. So let me back up for a sec.
So are you saying that roosting berms is not the fastest way through a berm?
It depends. For sure, depends. What I'm saying is if you develop muscle control to evenly weight all the way through your range of motion
Yep.
while you're not just going straight, but while you're now turning your body and you can control that movement, you're going to be better off in every corner, whether you're trying to roost it or
Yeah.
not. The
That's
funny
good.
thing about roosting is it's like you're intentionally getting off balance to the inside to
Yep.
initiate a slide, and then when the wall catches you, you end it and come out of it.
Yeah. You control it.
There's always a reason, right? Just more tools you have, more ability to move you have,
Yeah.
the better off you're going to be everywhere.
Cool.
So,
Cool. Well, you want to
let me
show us
show
that
you the
slalom
follow
drill?
through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll show you that, and you should be watching for smooth movement side to side. Hopefully, I nail it.
Yeah. What up, Brandon? Jared, how you guys doing? ISR, Uderish, how you guys doing? Glad you guys tuned in. Take a look at Kevin here. Look at that. Evenly weighted, cornering back and forth, using those side knobs. Looks like he's going to do it again for us. You just watch him. His right and his turn and his left turns look almost identical. So cool, man.
Sweet.
I was
So
noticing how
the
your
interesting,
your rights and your lefts look like pretty much identical.
awesome.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing on that is people ask about foot forward, and really, like if you're balanced, it doesn't matter that much. Like there might be times where there's a reason to do it, but most of the time, the stable platform is more important than flipping your foot forward or back. And if you can move from your feet and balance and control that movement, you're gonna be able to smoothly corner both directions.
Yeah.
It's more about looking where you want to go. On that one, feedback, like what happens if you're not getting it or you are getting it, like, and again, I might back up a little bit, but if you have you ever felt like you're going through a corner and the front end's pulling around, like swinging wide around? If you think about a bike, it's actually got 3 pivot points that have nothing to do with suspension. So you can turn a bike around the back wheel, right, and swing the front around. You can turn it around the front wheel, right, big old stoppy nose pivot, or you can carve around a corner from the center of the bike with your weight over the bottom bracket. So what we're trying to do is if we're carving and we're weighting well, we're going to have both wheels making the same path around the corner. If one starts swinging wide, or if the back starts kind of tracking right over the cones through the middle and the front's going wide, front going wide would be too much front weight on the front tire. Back tire with too much weight on it would mean that you're going to swing the front around. But when they're tracking together, that's a pretty good idea. You've got your weight centered over your feet. And it really, like I was playing with this earlier, and it really, like I can notice, like the faster you go, like the more you need to anticipate and move into that so that you're where the bike is going and you're weighted over the feet. And when I got a little bit back or didn't quite move with it enough, I could feel that front coming wide and swinging around. And then you lose traction and wash it out. And we all know how that goes. So,
For sure. For sure. Hey, so would you suggest maybe attempting this drill and maybe doing it with your weight a little too far forward, then a little too far back, and so you can kind of
yeah.
feel the differences, and then you can find the sweet spot? Or
Yeah, for sure. And that's the key out here in the yard, right? Is you're figuring out what you can do. You want to try everything you can. So you want to try going faster. You want to try going slower. You want to move your weight forward, move your weight back. The feedback I'm mentioning is just so you have reference of when you're getting it. But play around, try everything. I mean, try the nose pivot turns, try a,
Yeah.
a wheelie turn, right? Um, Figure out whatever you can. It's just finding those challenges. It's a little bit harder and a little bit harder and a little bit harder. And that's that progression, right? So with the limbo, you would say, yeah, go like just start without limbo. Just ride the flat alley and move forward and then move back and feel the pressure in your hands. And then the next step would be to ride the alley and get low and see where the pressure ends up. And then you could do it with limbo. We actually set that up on the edge of a drop once. Like somebody was talking about really having a reference for that, getting low at the right moment. And so we set up a limbo line across, and you had to come in and do limbo as you went off the drop.
Come on.
That's probably a few bars up.
Yeah.
But like what you can do on flat to replicate that is set it up and then imagine that you're coming in tall, tall, tall. Wait until the last moment. So it's like your shoulders are dropping down towards the landing like a drop. And that's a good way to do progression on that. Another thing with progression is, a wheel's got angular momentum, right? So the faster it spins, the more it wants to stay upright. If you take away that angular momentum, it gets way harder to keep it upright. So here's the classic for those that know me. Why can't a bike stand up on its own? It's too
Uh,
tired.
yeah. Good one. I like that.
Came out of a New Zealand candy wrapper a few years ago. I'm gonna plug in my power cord real quick. But I tell that joke a lot because you think about balance, and sometimes we think go faster to make it harder. But when you're trapped in a yard, it might be go slower to make it harder, because if
For
you
sure.
take away that angular momentum, you're going to have to balance more, and it's going to train your body to control your muscles a lot more closely and finely. So that could be a way to make it harder as well.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot more jumping and that kind of stuff, but even with jumping, like there's two ways to jump a jump. You can either go really fast to clear the gap, or you can go slower and use really good technique and pull up the way that you're supposed to clear the gap. And so, even like you're saying, sometimes going slower is more difficult because it requires even better technique.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if you think about that, like the faster you go, the skill you need to have is the skill to absorb force really
Yeah,
quickly and stay balanced over the bottom bracket. And that's really why people mess up jumping, is they're not staying balanced over the bottom bracket. When you go slower, now you're creating force. So you're popping. And so again, like you better be able to make a really strong, fast movement up without throwing yourself off balance. And that's why when people do this, like they'll pop, but then they end up leaning over, because when they come up, they're biased towards one side or the other, right?
yeah, yeah.
So it's really the same concept, just applied in different spots.
For sure, for sure. Awesome, man. Do you have some more drills or maybe something else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, so you asked about kind of connecting that to life. And man, the thing I've been thinking about, just going back to, I know there's so much going on in the world right now. And I was thinking the other day about the loss of races and, practices and everything, we're doing that we love. And really that pales in comparison to what's going on in the world around us, right? Like people losing their jobs, people getting sick and dying, and all that stuff. And so the question just really hit me of like, man, like where do we see hope right now? And so I was watching some different things, and one of them was this video from the Bible Project on hope, or the word study on Yakal. Is kind of what they have it labeled as. I think Jarrett's going to put a link to that in there. But as I was watching the video, I was actually thinking about riding my bike, and it talks about hope in the way the Bible talks about it, of a story that we can see what God has done in the past is part of it, right? And so we can look back, and it's kind of like rocking your weight back onto the back wheel. and resting on that back wheel, right? You're in the past. You can remember and rest on what God's done in the past. Whereas then, like if you think about the front wheel and we lean forward into the future, the promises of what's to come, that's kind of like, your nose wheelie, right? Like you just rock forward. Well, with both, rocking back into a wheelie or forward, when you hold that position, you're tensing up your muscles. So you get a little bit stiffer for a while and you're kind of momentarily holding that position. And then you drop back down onto the bottom bracket, right? And because there's that bearing, it just moves freely and spins, and everything can happen underneath it, but you have this stable foundation. And it just kind of hit me that that's, as the Bible lays out our hope in Jesus and his role in that story, it really comes down to he's the one that the whole story pivots around, revolves around, and I can rest on my feet, right, on him. And it's not just this, I wait.
Looks like we got a little technical difficulties going on.
Happened in the past.
There we
It's
go.
this
All right, we're back. It just kind of skipped there for a second.
Where'd you lose me? Bummer. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I'm not quite sure where I was at, but I'll kind of go back to, again, the bottom bracket being where we see this living and active God in Jesus. And it's what the whole story revolves around him, right? Like the bike rotates around the bottom bracket, it links together the wheels. And that hope in Jesus isn't just looking at the future of what's coming. When I die, I'll go to heaven. It's not just, yeah, God did something for these people back in the day. It's he's doing something right now, right? The peace he offers is right now. The patience, the joy, the hope, right? All of it is for right now. And I've just been trying to rest on that and learn to move with the crazy times and stay balanced on that. And the interesting thing, if we go back to how you improve, the feedback piece is built right into the Bible's description of this, where you look at, if I'm balanced on Jesus, if I'm living in the Spirit, as the New Testament writers put, then I'm going to see fruit of that, right? I'm going to know I'm where I need to be. And if I don't, then I'm going to see some other fruit, right? So Galatians 5 talks about the fruit of the sinful nature and the fruit of the Spirit, right? And when we see, anger and jealousy and selfish ambition and lust and all these things come out, it's kind of like that red flag, like that feedback of, where's my weight? Is it in my hands, in my palms? Is it in my fingers? Or am I balanced on the bottom bracket? Am I balancing in my life on the hope I have in Jesus, and that he will show up, he will work, he will, move forward, and be with me through whatever I go through.
That's awesome, man. I love that. That's so great. And I think it, like I said, it applies like really well to the times that we're in right now. And I mean, there's so many people that are obviously searching for hope and something to put their hope in. And that's cool. I put that link in the comments there. If you guys want to jump on and it's a word study on the word hope, right?
Yeah. And they're really cool animations. My family's been watching a bunch of their videos and really loving them.
Yep.
So yeah.
That's awesome. The Bible Project's great. Well, if you guys have any questions for us, Kevin and I are here. Let's see. Let's go back through it. Looks like John from Zimbabwe is here.
Awesome.
And he says, "What's up?" Yeah, Brandon's on here, which Brandon and Jared Wheeler. He says, "This is fun, man. Thanks, y'all." So, Jared, thank you for joining us, and we're having a good time doing it. Yeah, Randy Worley was here, and a lot of other people. So we've had a lot of cool people jump on, and yeah, we're just stoked that you guys could all join us, and that we could have Kevin from Washington out here to jump in as well and give us some pointers. So, any other cool little little things maybe that they could work on in their yard with the same like cones and maybe like limbo setup or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, limbo, you can go the other way. I do bunny hop progression, right?
yeah
And like everybody's always asking, how do we bunny hop? How do we bunny hop? And man, the way I bunny hop was just set up a cardboard box and start trying to figure out how to get the bike up and over it. And I think
yeah
there's really something to that. Like I've looked a lot at sport coaching stuff and like we need more free play. Just go out and try stuff. So bunny hop's great. Really, it's anything that requires you to balance and then shift your weight forward, back, up, down. So you can do like a big 180 corner instead of the slalom drill. You can set up like in the alley. You can go from one side of the alley, try and carve a smooth radius all the way around the alley, come back the
yeah
other way. Um, and work on the same thing, like shift your weight so you're constantly moving your weight all the way through the corner and then all the way out of the corner so that every movement moves into another movement, right? Like I think that's another cool analogy to like the way God works of like it's not this I hold on to something. Oh, this was good. I hold on to it and I wait and I stay there. It's like that was good, but we're moving off of that to the next corner, to the next corner, to the next corner.
right
So yeah, just play with moving. I love stoppies and then nose pivots. The reason I really like a stoppie, so what I mean is like you come in, you're gonna do a rear wheel lift, so you're gonna use your body weight, dip down, come up. Your shoulders are coming up and forward. You're scooping your toes into the pedals a little bit as you come up, and that helps lift the back tire up, right? It's driven out of your legs and you're lifting your body up and forward and then using your toes to bring the bike with it. But if you then like turn it into a stoppie where you add a little front brake at a time, probably want to do this in the grass, and you start getting that lift and a pause as you let the bike come farther up underneath you. Um, it comes up like this. The position I'm in, if I can do it on the ground, where I come in, I actually end up in the same position as when I'm doing limbo, right? Like my
mm,
body is almost the same position. And if I'm coming down a steep chute, like in a race, downhill race, I'm in the same basic position, balanced over the bottom bracket, bracing with my arms. So you can learn how to ride steep chutes in your yard by getting really good at letting the bike move up under you in a stoppie. Um,
yeah
and then start working on rotating and you're adding cornering and everything into the same thing. And
totally
really, like a nose pivot turn isn't that different biomechanically from coming into a steep, hard corner where you're dropping down into the corner and then making a tight corner, right? You've got to be in the same position, you're bracing and you're rotating at the same time. It's just a different force that's initiating it, but the movement's really the same. So you can practice
yeah
a ton right here in the yard.
yeah you and I were talking about this earlier, right? Like body mechanics and physics don't change no matter the
Yeah.
sport, no matter even the maneuver that you're working on. You're just figuring out what force you're dealing with and where your I guess where your balance point needs to be and those things, right?
Yeah. The way we've been teaching coaches to teach is rather than look at how do we ride, we're looking at what's the goal. And really, it's pretty simple. The rider needs to be able to balance over the bottom, right? They need to be balanced. They need to be able to move so that as the bike moves, it doesn't throw them off balance. And they need to be able to resist force, right? And no matter what's going on, you're doing those three things. Sometimes you're putting force on the bike, but it's the same thing. It's you're creating force by moving, right? But then you have to stay balanced over the bike as you do that. And I've been thinking a lot about the direction of force, right? So like gravity's pushing down, momentum's pushing us forward. We hit the brakes, the bike stops here and we go out the front. You're looking at how do I brace or balance in direction of force, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
that's
fun
good.
thing to play with as well.
For sure, man. Well, awesome. I'm so thankful that you're able to join us and pass some of your knowledge along to us. Um,
Yeah,
from
thanks for having me.
from skills to riding on a bike, and then also just a great message of hope. And so, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been fun. We'll be back again on Tuesday. We got special guests for you on Tuesday. But if you guys haven't done so yet, leave Kevin a message in the comments. Give Kevin a follow. Like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge. Make sure you follow Trail Stoke, which is his teaching and the way he pours into youth as well. And make sure you follow them you're on Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yeah, not very active on Facebook, Instagram a little bit more. But yeah, probably with these times, be a little bit more active on Instagram for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, bless you guys. We're so thankful to get to hang out with you for a little while. I think Kevin and I are signing off. So good to see you guys. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Yep. Later, guys. Have a good one.